Every single day, thousands of real estate deals vanish off the market without ever getting a real shot, and most investors never even know they existed. But what if the listings that expired quietly are actually the most valuable ones you've never chased? Let's set the stage. An expired MLS listing is a property that sat on the market, failed to sell within its contract window, and got pulled not because nobody wanted it, but usually because of overpricing, poor marketing, or a seller who just wasn't ready yet. Think of it like a library book that got returned unopened. The story inside is still worth reading, and now it's back on the shelf. Here's where it gets interesting, because the mainstream crowd moves on the moment that active badge disappears, leaving a window sometimes just hours wide, where motivated sellers are emotionally exhausted and quietly more flexible than they'll ever publicly admit. That window is where patient, prepared investors do some of their cleanest deals. The trick that savvy investors are quietly using is a combination of direct MLS data, scraping through tools like Propstream, batch leads, or even REDX, cross-reference with county tax records to find the owner's contact information before the listing gets recycled into another agent's pitch deck. It sounds almost unfair, and honestly, the absurdity is that this data has always been technically accessible. Yet, most people scroll past it, looking for the shiny, just listed badge like it's a golden ticket. Now, let's be honest about the emotional psychology at play here, because sellers with expired listings are in a particular headspace, somewhere between frustrated and defeated, which means they're often more open to creative terms, seller financing, or price reductions than they were 90 days ago when they thought their home was worth top dollar. Behavioral economists would call this the sunk cost surrender. And for investors who approach it with empathy rather than exploitation, this moment can be transformative for both parties. Propstream, for example, lets you filter specifically for expired listings down to the exact date range, zip code, property type, and even equity position, so you're not just finding needles in a haystack, you're building a magnet. Pair that with a skip tracing tool like batch skip tracing, and within minutes, you've got phone numbers, emails, and mailing addresses for owners who are emotionally primed to have a real conversation. Historically, the investors who built serious portfolios during downturns like 2008 or the brief COVID-era freeze of 2020 weren't the loudest in the room. They were the ones quietly working expired and withdrawn listings, while everyone else was glued to Zillow, refreshing the new listing filter like it was a slot machine. Pattern recognition is humbling that way, because every cycle looks different on the surface, but rhymes at the core. Let's kill a common misconception right now. Expired listings are not toxic assets or signs that something is wrong with the property in the vast majority of cases. The issue was the price, the agent, the photos, or the timing. And none of those things are permanent problems. Once you strip away the bad marketing and reset expectations, you're often looking at a perfectly solid deal wearing yesterday's unflattering outfit. The practical playbook is straightforward. Pull your expired list daily, segment by days on market and equity percentage, skip trace the owners, and reach out within 48 hours with a short, human, non-aggressive message that leads with curiosity rather than an offer. Discipline in your outreach cadence matters more than your script, because most deals in this lane close on the third or fourth touch point, not the first. Position, sizing, and patience are your best friends here, because you might contact 50 expired listings and close on one, and that one deal can justify the entire system if you underwrote it correctly and didn't overpay just because you were excited. Conviction without discipline is just expensive enthusiasm, and the market has a long memory for those who let urgency override process. There's something almost philosophical about this strategy. You're not chasing what everyone sees. You're building a system around what most people ignore. And that asymmetry is where real edge lives in any competitive market. The irony is rich. The listings the market rejected often become the ones that quietly make careers. And if you're sitting there thinking, this sounds complicated or reserved for big operators with expensive software subscriptions, know that some of the sharpest investors we've seen started this system with a free REDX trial and a $30 a month skip trace account, keeping their cost basis laughably low while the competition paid full retail on the MLS. Resourcefulness is a competitive moat, and it doesn't require a war chest to get started. Whether the market is running hot or cooling off, expired listings remain a consistent, counter-cyclical source of opportunity because sellers don't stop needing to sell just because the market gets awkward. They just get quieter, and quieter sellers tend to make better negotiating partners. You don't need a perfect market. You need a repeatable system that works across conditions. So here's the bottom line. The online trick isn't really a trick at all. It's a disciplined, daily habit of finding motivated sellers before the herd does, using tools that are widely available but rarely used with consistency or intention. The edge isn't in the software. It's in the showing up every single day when it's boring. Because the deals that build wealth rarely arrive with fireworks. If you're ready to put this into practice, whether through real estate investing, connecting with contractors for renovations, or finding the right lender to fund your next deal, check out our links in the description below and let's get you started.